There is no sound because I forgot to turn the mic on. All right, so forget you saw all of that other stuff. Forget all that. So welcome to Thursday Live. How is everyone doing? I hope your week is going great. I said a bunch of really important, thought-provoking, intelligent things in that first couple minutes. I really didn't. So hello, everyone. I hope your week is going great. What I did say was it's crazy here. The wind had shifted. We're in Northeast Ohio, so there's this very, very thick haze from the fires going on in Canada, the devastating fires that are going on there. Just really, really weird. What I was saying before I realized, and you guys helped me with that, about the mics, we have two things to do today, or one of two things to do, so I'll let you guys decide. We can put another hand on that spray gun, because I got to get that done before next month, and it's almost next month right now. So we'll put another hand on that, or I need to finish up. I'm trying to get a bunch of the 543s done for next month as well, because I'll be doing a lot of traveling, and I want to make sure that that I have 5 for every week. So we could do a 543 instead, if you want to do that. So in the comments, just type 543 if you want to see one of those black and white paintings get done, or 3M if you want to see the spray gun done, and we'll see which one gets the most votes in the next couple minutes. And that's what we'll do. I have a little bit of show and tell. I'll show you the 543s from Monday, and also have another question for you too. So we'll do all that. Let me plug this in so you guys can see it, and I will properly say hello to everyone with sound this time. All right, there we go. Unbelievable. Franz, thank you for the no sound. Dan, what's happening? JC, Michael, what's going on? Mr. Garcia, long time no see, man. Paul, what's up? No, Paul. Whenever it's something like that, it's probably me. Philip, what's happening? Yay, that's good. All right. Excellent. You guys, Cody, what's happening? Okay. Oh boy, what a way to start. So this is the 543. I was working on 543s before you guys got here. So that's what I was doing. Well, actually, I was running around this morning. Yeah, I would love to have shown you and I'll probably post a picture of it, the Mission Healing Soldiers painting, which I showed on Monday night. But that is gone. That's on its way back to Massachusetts. So I'm excited to have that shipped. And like I said, now that puts me into getting everything else done. So what I'll do is I'll show you real quick the 543s from, well, the ones I have left. If you guys are interested in these, the winner this week was Enzo, our buddy Enzo, and he's actually having me do a 543 specifically for him. So these are the ones that are still on the site. If you go to my website, they're right on the front page if you would like one of these. So this is O-Lolly, which is obviously a lollipop. And I don't have my crazy good lens in, but I did hide Where's Waldo in there, so it's the bonus. This is the Cadillac La Monstre from 1950, which is a fun one to do. For my UK friends, this is obviously bagpipes, your Highland pipes. And then finally is the campfire one. I had a lot of fun with this one. It's way more than a 543, but this is the only way to do this. And yeah. So those are all on the site right now. And if you want to check those out, there's that. How are we doing on our thing? All right, so if you guys don't decide, I will. 543. Ken says 543, I think. Or no. He's making a suggestion. Okay, you can't make suggestions on here for 543s. And the only reason that is because I'm still learning the way that the dashboard works with YouTube, and I can't go back and look at all the comments. So that's why I didn't do a 543 thing with YouTube. They also, from what I've been reading too and hearing from other people, that they don't like giveaways on YouTube. They frown on that. So I don't know if it was abused at one time or what, but so I think I'm going to have to come up with some different way to kind of do giveaways on the YouTube end of it. All right, so I posted this today because I was on the road and I didn't have a chance to, I'm going to move this here. I didn't have a chance to really have a solid post, so I went back through some of the other photographs that I had on my phone. And let's get this a little bit brighter so you can see it. There we go. So this is the A10 Warthog dog tag painting that I did. I'm going to turn on autofocus. I know I shouldn't because it's going to go nuts, but we'll give it a shot. All right. What do you think? Autofocus. What do you think? Come on, man. No? No autofocus? Autofocus is mad at me. No autofocus? Manual focus. Let's try that. Manual focus is going to work then. Screw you. There we go. So that's the A10 dog tag that I painted. Has a clear on it that's archival, but it's real satin matte, and I don't like it. And not that it matters, because it's just one other clear. So I think I'm going to re-clear this with automotive clear because I like it looking glossy. But the other thing with it is the frame. I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do with the frame yet. This is the frame I'm going to use. It's Brazilian cherry. It actually, if I just oil it, which I'm planning on doing, it's going to look really, it takes on this orangey brown color. Just really, really nice wood. But I was also thinking after the success of the show blade that I did, and I cleared that frame, that looked amazing. So I'm thinking about doing the same thing with that. But my real question to everyone today was the background. So I like to key the background. I was going to do felt, and I was going to get like the aviator's wings and the pin to kind of put it below here. I was thinking about that. But it would be so amazing to get some sort of flat piece from an actual A10. That would be out of control, because then I could use that as the backdrop. And a couple people actually sent messages saying that, you know, they might know someone. So that's still a possibility, but I can't really do much with it until I figure out what I'm going to do with the back. So that was a whole back and forth on that. Someone had said use the bullets, you know, the bullet shells, but unfortunately, well, one, I can't get them because, you know, A10, but two, they're also 12 inches long. So this is only 6 inches across. So while the shells would be amazing, they wouldn't necessarily work. I'd have to find someone to cut them, you know, and that, yeah, that's not what I want to do. So anyway, so that's that. So that's all I have for show and tell. So how are we doing? Are we making a decision? Yeah, JC, the oil comes out amazing. And actually it's gunstock oil too, which is really nice. It's got a nice gloss to it. Paul thinks the felt and the wings. Yeah, I thought that was kind of where I left off with it last. I had flight charts, you know, in the background at one point. Simon, what's up, buddy? Okay, Phillips is one. All right, it looks like 543 is what we're doing. Okay, good. So that means I don't need to change the lens, which is also good, because if we did the 3M thing, I'd have to get the jumbo lens in there. So we will do a 543. And I have a special UK one. I kind of saved it because I thought I might, you know, be in the position where I'd be doing this today with you guys. Oh, cheers today. I have coffee. However, if my right side of the Atlantic folks are cheering, you could probably shame me into having a beverage with you. So I will leave that up to you guys. I'm going to pull the comments over here so I don't have to mess with it. What am I doing? Me. I won't mind. There we go. There we go. That's what I want. So I can see your comments now. Yay! Okay. That may not work there though. Okay. Simon, it is going great, man. Really good, really good. All right, yeah, this may not work here, but I'll figure it out. Okay. Let's get started. So I have 2 more to do, and then I've done an additional 10. So that kind of sets me free for the 2 weeks in July that I'll be bouncing around. So that was the goal. The other goal was to get all the videos done for the whole month. So I'm almost there. I got to do a few more Tech Tuesdays, but it has been busy. They call it forced drinking. Kind of like to call it like an alcoholic hug. Something more like that. All right, so you guys have seen me do this before, but if you haven't, I'll start at the beginning. So this is Yupo paper. It's the heavy duty paper, so it's thick. It's polypropylene, and then there is a special coating that they put on it, this absorbent paper-like coating. It's really neat. And it's just a nice, I love it. It's basically well, it's on a paper product. It's plastic, but it performs like paper in the way that it, kind of bends, and it's easy to manipulate and that kind of thing. This surface is, you can just paint right on it. But what I do is that's annoying. I'm going to move this because you guys are seeing this in delay at the same time. I'll just lean over for the comments. So I end up spraying the surface of this thing with base coat sealer, Autoborn sealer, and it's just the Autoborn sealer gray. So that's where we are with this right now, and it comes out really nice. But I want this like just breathtakingly smooth. So there's a little bit of, sometimes there's little bits and nibs and chunks of stuff or dirt gets in it. So the first thing I do is I run over this whole thing with this is a used X-Acto blade, and I just run over the whole thing, kind of catching any of those little nibs and knocking them off. That's the first step. Now, if you're working bigger and you use this stuff and you spray it, the surface that it is right now is perfect. Like, I'm not literally knocking off these little tiny dust specks. When you work real small, though, those dust specks show up. You can see them, and it's too bright now because of that. So I'm going to dump this down a little bit so you get more normal coloring here. There, that's better. All right, and then I'll try to keep jumping back and forth here. I'm cheering with large Jack Daniels after Dave blocking a BMW 8. See, that's a lot of pressure right there because that is a really nice card. How do you like that Visionaire system? I've been considering investing one and thought such as I wish we got this first if it makes sense. Yeah, Philip, I just got this a little over a year ago. And again, I tell the story all the time, this whole setup. You can go back in the Tech Tuesdays and you can see the whole setup. And I thought this was just going to be my, my live stream filming video station, and then I'd still paint at my other station, but my bigger drafting desk. But I haven't been to my bigger drafting desk since I started working here. I really love it. I love the modular way that it works. I love to be able to put anything anywhere. Like, I'll zip over here to the other side. You're going to get blinded by the light, but the airbrush holders are there along the side, getting the paint holder, and it's just a really, really, really neat setup. Like, I think if I move, I'll always have my other bench, but I think if I move back to my other bench, I'll take some of this stuff with me because I've gotten so used to it. So yeah, I can't say enough about them. Paint the background with a big bullet for the price of you. Nice, Michael. Yeah, that's a good idea. In terms of what I have ordered first, Philip, only some extra magnets so they can make use of the steel backplate. Yeah, that Simon's got it. I think just getting the workstation itself is gigantic. I think that's definitely the place to start. There are two ways to do this, and again, I'm not going to back this out because it's behind everything. But what I have set up here is the jig mounted station. So this whole plate here is mounted on a frame, and then that frame has a single post that goes down into a holder. So I did that because I envision using the other jigs. So I built a whole table around that. They also offer one that just sits on the desk, which I am going to get also because I think as a kind of as a mobile thing, it's exactly like this, but it has two legs on the bottom, and it just kind of holds on to the desk. That would be great for me because I can take that on the road with me. So I can take all these magnets and all these holders and all this stuff. So yeah, I would definitely start there. Awesome. All right, so I got that. Next thing, I'm going to sand this real quick. And I have some 1500. This is just 1500 sandpaper. And I love this sealer because it sands really, really nice. So what happens is as you sand this, it doesn't get gummy and, like pilly. Let me see if it's going to work for me. Stop. I don't understand why the autofocus is so cranky lately. Let's see here. There we go. I'll just leave it. All right. So when I pull this up, it just powders onto sandpaper. So when I wipe it on my pants, it's all the powder's gone. So it doesn't sand gummy like some sealers do, where you start sanding and then this is all like gummed up with rubbery whatever. This is just really powdery, which is really, really nice because you can do some really nice stuff with it as far as the way that it sands. So I use the sandpaper just to kind of smooth out any other little imperfections in this. Again, do you have to? Absolutely not. It's just I really like these things super, super smooth just because of the way that the paintings go. All right, Michael, great. I'll catch up with you, man. Portable folds flat. Yeah, Simon, that's... yeah. I don't want to say I wish I had got that one instead of this one because, like I said, the ultimate goal along the way is to start investing in all those cool jigs that they have that hold everything. Not that I do a lot of helmets and stuff like that, but it would be nice. Like I have painted guitars. I have one that I need to paint right now. It'd be so nice to have the guitar jig, So then when I was looking into, kind of building a portable airbrush station that I could move around as I go on vacation or, head back home or whatever. I know that's what I'm going to end up getting. All right, so 1500, it just really smooths it out. And then what I do is I take this really old, worn Scotch-Brite pad, which was originally 800, but now this is more like 2000. And I just kind of go over it and make sure I get like that, little bits and pieces off. And it's actually not a bit in piece. That is part of the edge that was cut. And when you're done, now again, you can do whatever. You could sand this with like 800 and have a really nice rough texture. You could spray this at a really lower pressure so it's real like almost like stucco-y in a way, so it gives you a lot of texture. You can do a whole bunch of stuff with it, or you can sand the absolute crap out of it like I do and you get this gigantically smooth, perfect surface on this, which is what works for me. All right, my mom loved the hummingbird. Mike, that's awesome, Mike. Oh, I'm glad, really glad. All right, so wait, Simon's having rum and coke? Is that what I read? I don't want coffee anymore. Maybe. All right, we'll see what we can do. I might get a beer. Now the Mike's on too, I might get a beer. Mike's my I don't know, my bad influence encouragement. He likes the same kind of beer that I do, so all right. Next up, tape, FBS. This is FBS KUTG gold tape. And this is what I use all the time for this. I use this tape in all different forms. So here's the 3/4 inch version of that. I think you saw it when I started the feed behind me. This is a big, 8-inch roll of this stuff. So it's just really, really great stuff. All right. Throw the tape on, and the tape just acts as a border. So these are 543s, but the sheet that I cut is 5x4. So it's a little bit bigger so that I have this border on it. I just like it. It makes it easier to frame when I put the mat on it. And I give myself a little bit of extra, so I'm putting the tape on, but there's about 1/8 of an inch extra on it. So again, that just gives me a little bit of extra on the painting surface, so that when I go to mat it, I don't have to be exactly perfect. If I do it 3x4 exactly, the mats are cut to 3x4. So if I, something didn't come out right, or I misaligned it, then that's a huge drag, because then I have to either recut the mat, which I don't want to do, or add to the painting, which I also don't want to do. So even just adding that extra 1/8 of an inch really gives me that little extra to kind of play around with. So there it is as your extra. Grab that same used X-Acto blade. Try not to use a new one to do stuff like this, because this is more utility cutting. And I try to keep those X-Acto blades really, really sharp in the handle so that I can do those crazy cutouts. All right, take the excess off just because it's annoying, and there you go. And I showed you guys already, I think. I upgraded my 543 holder to this. This is galvanized steel, and then I put a magnet sheet on the back. And I also, you can't tell, well, you kind of tell. I painted it with Candy 2.0. I ground it and painted it with Candy 2.0, and then I clear coated it. So unlike the other one, which is just a magnet, this is steel. So this will last me just about forever. All right, and it's got little photo corners in the edges. Am I going this way with this one, or am I going that way with that one? Well, let me show you what we're doing first. So this, again, I had this planned because of our UK friends. These all came from suggestions over, there was, I think it was 1 week in March and 1 week in April that I did the feed, but I didn't use the comments that were given because I was on, again, I was on the road. So I had the paintings already done, so I kept all the suggestions for just this occasion. So so I forget, I should have found out who suggested this, but the suggestion was, of course, Monty Python, and it was The Black Knight. So so I grabbed this screenshot from the movie, and this is kind of what we're going to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't want to put in the whole background, but we'll figure something out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up these. So now you won't see this painting until July. So you guys get a super sneak preview. So one of the weeks, either second week or the last week of July, is when this one will be available. So if you want this one, get on the feeds coming up and make your suggestions each week, because these are going to be this is going to be one of the ones that's on the list. So all right, drop the UPO in here. It just sits in the photo corners, and now I'm going to change the orientation of this. And you guys may immediately proceed with quoting lines from the movie, because it is merely a flesh wound. Let's go this way. I've done one other one. I've done the I Will Taunt You a Second Time painting, which was a blast. I don't know how many of the Monty Python ones I have, though. But bring out your dead. I'm not dead yet. I love the movie. Oh my God. Where do you get the sheet magnet? Dan, I wish I could tell you. So I've had a really hard time finding the sheet magnet that I want. Do I have a piece of it around here? The stuff I want is the real heavy duty. I gotta have a piece of it somewhere. Hold on. Yeah, I got it. Okay, good. So this is the stuff that I like. It's really thick. What is that, 040 maybe? It's really thick. It's a good magnetic adhesive. I mean, it's not adhesive, but the magnet is really strong on it. This is stuff that sign painters use for the magnets on the side of cars, but not just the stuff you can get from Amazon, which brings up my next point. So I was looking for this, and I went on Amazon, and it's really difficult to find this stuff here. The problem that I have is I know where I can get it. But if I order it, it'll be like a 10-yard roll, which that's way, I need like scraps really. So that's the problem. For this here, this is the stuff you get from Amazon. You can't even see, I mean, you can't even see how thin it is. It's that thin. But for this, it works because it's on the back of a piece of steel, right? But if I'm just using the magnet like this, it has to be thicker like this. That's what the other one was. So this is stuff I like. And I put the dog tags on this and tape them to, and then can literally just kind of like drop it on here and move it around. So my suggestion, and this is where I found, if I found it locally here, just hit up the local sign companies around you. The bigger the better. And just let them know this is what you're looking for, and you'll buy their scraps, because they'll, you know, this is a cutoff for them. They won't use this, and they'll probably just toss it. But you know, if you make them an offer, you know, they'll usually just give it to you. So that's what happened here. There's a sign company in the next town over. The guy's really cool, and he said, "Yep, I'll save my scraps for you," and that's where I get it from now. So that's what I can say about that. Again, I looked on Amazon and I couldn't find all the small sheets. The 8x10 sheets are the crap, you know, the thin, crappy stuff. So again, I didn't look super hard, so I'm sure you can get it like in this thickness in small sheets, but maybe you can't. Maybe it only comes in a roll. So what are we doing here? Here we go. If I was like a magnets, it's a company Anaheim called Amazing Magnets. Yeah, Philip, that's where I get these magnets from, the neodymium magnets. Amazing Magnets is awesome, but they don't sell this magnetic sheet. So I would love it if they did, but yeah, if you want these little magnets, these neodymium magnets, I glue the little things on them, but yeah, that's Amazing Magnets. They're great. All right, let's get going. So again, with this now 543s, again, they're supposed to be quick. They can't take me a lot of time. It kind of defeats the purpose of them. Sure, I get this focused. There we go. It kind of defeats the purpose of them. So if I was doing this as a real painting, like as a commission painting, a small painting with all this background and everything would take me like 10 to 12 hours. I can't do that with a 543 because then, you know, I'll be making $10 an hour and no one wins at that. So what has to happen is I got to figure out what I can do to kind of, you know, make it a little bit more doable, but also still retain a lot of the, you know, the coolness of it. So obviously the characters are the most important, and then the background second. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cut out the characters first, and then figure it out from there. Might back you up a little. Yeah, you know what? I'll get you right in on the cutting part of it. That might be a good idea. Chris, no, don't. You don't have to, Chris. Trust me, this guy next door, next town over, set me up. So I have more than I need now. But that's the thing. It's finding that right person. You know, it's like the titanium stuff that I was doing. It was so nice to find President Titanium there in Massachusetts, and they supply titanium to aerospace and medical, but on the raw side of it, like someone says, I'm building this whatever, and I need, you know, this shape of titanium, and you know, that's what this company did. So for them, it was the same kind of thing. I called them and said, hey, I know this is stupid, but you know, I do these paintings and I want to do some on titanium. Do you have any small pieces? And that's exactly what it is. I ended up meeting the owner and took me on a tour, and it was just a really nice thing, you know, and I ended up getting all the titanium I needed, which was awesome. And it literally came out of a 55-gallon drum that they just recycle. So, so it was great. All right. Oh, unless Chris is sending JC. Oh, all right. Yeah, send it to JC if JC needs it. But no, I am set up now. Of course, the Black Knight. And I had to pick the Black Knight. There's so many, you know, you could get so many shots of this, but I really wanted him with no limbs. It's the best, you know, the best part of the whole thing. All right, so down the bottom here, I can make my life easy. So I can cut out these two figures and just drop them in, or I can leave them connected at the bottom, which will make life really easy because then I don't have to try to adjust it real quick. So I'm just going to kind of cut them together, and then I can cut them out like that. And that's it. They're both cut out and ready to go. So I'm going to show you this in a second. I'll move this again so you can see it because I know we're out of the way here. I'm not going to need too many templates at all on this, which is good. All right, so I line this up. So again, this here, this photocopy is 3 inches by 4 inches, so it's smaller than the opening that's here. So what I do is, you can't really see it up here, but you can see it down here. So there's a line for the tape where the tape crosses, so I just kind of keep everything centered, you know, between all that. Because again, there'll be a little bit of extra space around the outside edge. And then just start dropping magnets on it. A small one for his head. There we go. Now I can pull this off, and they are where they're supposed to be. Now save all these because I'll need it. Gary, geez Louise, thank you, sir. Again, I can't say it enough. You guys, when you do that, that's what keeps everything going. It really does. And like I said, my sit down goal at the beginning of this year was to really pump up the live streams and all the online content. And I was hoping that I would get the response that I am getting, but it is still blowing me away. So thank you. It's amazing. All right, let's make sure we're focused here so we don't have to keep messing with that. Yeah, so you'll notice there's a 543 missing. That's because Gary also purchased that this week. So Gary is a champ, man. Keeps everything going. All right, so we are at that point. So I can't just do the regular 543 background, which is like a gray fade, because then it's like this painting is lame. So I'm gonna have to kind of come up with something for the background here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of do this so that maybe the background is kind of there but out of focus. And that's going to have to be the best it's going to be. Again, if I take the time to really paint all this, it's going to take forever, and that's not the point. It would be on a regular painting. It'd be fun, but it can't happen with this guy. All right, so I'm going to drop this here on the side just so I can keep a look at it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab white, and I'm going to start just throwing stuff in here. I have a giant roll if anyone wants to hit me up. Oh, Chris, it's awesome, buddy. Yeah, Chris, no, that's for sure. I know you do. Cheers to Chris. I can't cheers, Chris, because I have coffee, and that's not a cheers. All right, so I'm going to do this. I will get a beverage in a second. Jeez. So the white I'll do with the Micron C, just to make sure that the white goes through. And for white, I'm going to use the opaque white from Createx, and this is just 1:1. You can barely see it there. So it's 1 part paint to 1 part 4011. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use. You can see the kind of bits and pieces of the background copy here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of, a little bit of water in there. I'm just going to kind of really just generally mimic what's going on in the background. Again, I'm not trying to make it exactly what's going on in the background, but I want to just give it something. So just kind of, there are lots of, looks like light coming through the trees and everything. So I'll get as much of that as I can. Again, this certainly, definitely doesn't have to be perfect. I know, Gary. See, that's what happens. I've already done all my running around today, so I spent the whole, like I said, I spent the whole morning. Unfortunately, well, it's lovely where we are. I'm not going to say it's not, but it's also very rural. So the nearest actual FedEx store is 35 minutes away. So I had to FedEx this the painting today, and so that meant driving over, and doing all that. So I was doing all my running around this morning, and got all that done. So I'm in for the day. So that might be beverage time. Again, just kind of picking out the white. Now the reason I'm doing the white first is so I don't have any blue shift. So again, for those who don't do a lot of airbrushing or don't know, when you spray white over another color, especially a warmer color, it turns blue. It looks blue. So the way you can avoid that is put the white down first and then put all your warmer colors on top of that. So I only do these in black and white, but the black, Createx Opaque Black, which is my other color, has a real brown feel to it, and that's a warm brown. So that's why it shifts blue. And what's weird about it, you would think it may not be make a difference. However, when you have like a warm brown, brownish black, and you have white, and then you have this blue color, it acts like a third color, and it really shows. It looks out of place. So that's why I kind of do the white first. And I'll do the white first on all the figures too. All right, I think that's good. I think we got some light coming through there. I got the, you know, the trees in the distance back here. Just maybe some more over here. What is a Leahy feed without beverages? I know, I feel like I'm letting you guys down. All right, so that's good. So you guys can see enough of the reference photo too. See what I'm doing? I'm just kind of like, you know, popping them in there. I'm not worried about the super bright highlights like on the tree, again, because I'm not going to get that detailed. Just want to have something. And then down here where the leaves are on the ground, I can start to kind of like just put in like a general texture. This would be a great chance to use like a template, like, you know, Gerald Mendez template, but perspective wise it changes. The texture is bigger in the front than it is behind them, so a template like that might not really work out so well. All right, jump to the other brush. For the black I've been using, clear this out, the Micron B. The Micron B processes black really well. It just works really well. So the next big thing is a voiceover mic and all the equipment that goes with that. If I get a good voiceover mic, what that means is I have a lot of other stuff already videoed just from the years and years of kind of doing it. So I have all these video files that never really had anything happen with them. So a good voiceover mic will let me go back in and put out all that material. Plus it also changes some of the videos too. It allows me to do a voiceover for like a Tech Tuesday or something like that, which is also good. So that's the next thing coming. All right, so this is opaque black, but it's reduced 1 part black to 10 parts reducer. So it's really thin. So now what I do is same thing, just kind of draw in roughly what's going on there. The trees, that little bug that's flying around. I don't know where he came from. So this background will just give me enough. You know, it's going to be there. It's not going to be super defined. It's not going to be real detailed, but it's going to do more than just having that gray fuzzy background, you know, which works out pretty well. All right, so then what I do, and I'm doing this, what I'm doing with the background all freehand is exactly what I'm going to do with the figures, even though they'll be really tight, but the order is the same. So first the white, then the darkest areas, the big dark areas, like there's a big, I don't know what this is, a leaf pile or something right here. So all the really big, just darkest areas go in next. And I don't necessarily have to do them as dark as they really are to start. I can adjust everything together. I just want to kind of get the placement of them in now. The 1 to 10 sprays really nice, but it's very transparent, so I gotta go slow. So even though this area should be really dark, you can't see it, it's just off the camera. This is almost black here. I can't just go in and hose it down and make it black. It won't work that way. It'll spiderweb all over the place. But for doing all the other like details, like the really tight stuff, this stuff screams doing that. And I'm just lazy. So instead of using two different, like I could use a thicker black to lock in a heavier black, like 1 to 5 or 1 to 1 to lock in the darker areas. I don't want to put two different paints in the brush, essentially, and have to clean it out in between. I'll just do it all with this one. Again, with these, it's all about getting them done in a reasonable amount of time. If you guys have any questions at all, just yell them out. I can see them now, so I mean I can see them right now, which is good. I thought moving the tablet was going to be, you know, kind of a problem because I'd have to look around them, you know, the camera to see them, but I got them. So you notice how the connection between the two of them is below the tape. So now I didn't have to try to line both of those up. I just dropped it on here and it's done. as long as the connection is on the tape, that works. No questions so far, just digging, watching, hanging out. All right, Simon, good, good. Like I said, if you guys want to start quoting Monty Python lines, that is totally okay too. So the other trick too is, again, because, all right, so this is obviously the photograph is really defined and clear, and the values. I mean, this black is as black as the night here. If I keep the whole background kind of, not as dark, like the thing I don't want to do is make the dark areas as dark as this, because if I do that, then I have to do that everywhere. If this is like a 50% gray but it's all over the place, your eye is going to read that as correct, so it's kind of a neat trick. I'm gonna yeah, exactly. It's a grail-shaped beacon. Oh my God. So yeah, so this week, I mean, it has been a lot of really, really, really long days. Last night was, I quit at 11. I was hanging out watching Timothy John Luke Smith's feed, but while I was watching his feed, I was doing all the video stuff. I was doing all the computer stuff, and I started at 6:30 in the morning. So and today's going to be exactly the same thing. But the good news is, like I said, I cranked out. Now I haven't done this Monday's 543s yet, but I did 8 of them already. So I've got almost. This is number 9. So what it means is in July I'll be able to relax a little bit. Plus I made good ground on the spray gun handle, so I'll have that done. Barrett's painting, the Mission Healing Soldiers painting went out, which is really good. So I got that done. And I have another project that just came in for SEMA, which will be really, really fun. And I got that started and prepped. I can't really show that because they want to keep it kind of quiet until the show, which is fine. But that's good too. I would like to know what weight paper you use for your cutouts. Seems more sturdy than standard. Yeah, Philip, you have a great eye there. So this is, it's just the heaviest duty paper I can get from Staples. Any good office supply. So the weight on this, I'll tell you right now. Actually, I will go get a beverage and get the paper. So hold on one second. Okay. So for Cheers, I've gone. I try to keep it local. So Cheers, I have Collision Bend, which is I just found these guys. I like their stuff. They're right in Cleveland, and I have their Hope Flows, which is a Kolsch style ale. So I haven't had this one yet, and it's a it is not a rip your head off beer. So like the Vibalicious one that I had on Monday, which was I think 9%. All right, I can do this. So this is the paper that I buy, and it's Staples brand, and it is 28 pound. So it's the premium inkjet laser paper. So it's, I mean, if you're used to buying copier paper, it's not cheap, but you nailed it. The paper is just really, really nice. At first I was thinking, a thinner paper would be easier to cut, and it is. However, the problem is when you're using it as a stencil, it once paint hits it, it just contracts and it curls up. So the cheap paper doesn't work as well. Like I said, it's easier to cut. You can get finer cuts out of it, but you just can't use it after you make those cuts. So that's the paper that I kind of grab all the time. Again, like I said, you get there and all the other papers are like, this one's on sale for $10 or whatever. That one is always, what it is. No problem, Philip. Absolutely. Yeah, and I would assume any 28-pound paper is going to be similar. I always grab the inkjet and laser paper because, I can then, even though I use it for cutouts, I also use it for all the business stuff. And it's nice when someone gets a nice piece of paper, instead of, I don't know. I like it better, when I get a nice piece of paper as an invoice or something, and it's like, wow, this is, place must be fancy. So, has dual roles for me. All right, so hopefully you get the idea. Just like I said, just really like keeping it general and keeping moving around so that, I get kind of a little bit of this everywhere. It isn't going to be much more than this either. I'm going to go over it generally with gray here and there once I get all the little kind of details in, or details that I'm going to put in. But it ain't going to be much more than this. So, all right, so that's pretty much all the trees that I want to get in, and the leaves and blah, 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 blah. So now what I can do is I can kind of pull back a little bit. I'm about 4 or 5 inches away, and I can start to like do things like I can darken this whole side here. Now I'm going really lightly, so all that texture is still going to show up. But what it does is it makes it look like there's more going on there than there really is. Same thing over here where this is, much darker. You could just go over it real light. The hollow right here in the little ridge. Here we go. Photograph paper 2. Find the sheen. Keep some of the... Oh, moist. That's cool, Simon. Yeah. That is really cool. Yeah, I haven't used photographic paper. But I know that's definitely a thing. Oops. There we go. All right. Back to this. So are there any larger, darker areas, big shadows type of thing? This is what I'll use to kind of like push everything back down. Again, the idea is to take out stuff, but not the important stuff. Just have what you need to kind of tell the story and leave it at that. I'll go with that for now. We'll see if it needs more. What's nice about this is, since it's only the two characters, and what's also nice is I chose this on purpose. You notice there are no arms sticking out or hands, or, well, of course there's no arms and hands sticking out on our friend here. But here, you're looking at side view. So this is going to be a really easy template to put back in place if I want to continue on with the background at the end. Like if I do the rest of it and it doesn't look good, I could just drop this right back on. It's really easy. So there you go. But yeah, that's it, Ken. That's just opaque black. But it's mixed 1 part paint to 10 parts reducer. So it's really, really, really thin. The only way I can get away with this, and I talk about this, the only way I can get away with reducing it like that is that I go in real light layers, it's dried on there, and then at the end, this has a coat of UVLS satin put on it. And that satin kind of locks everything together. So you just have to be real careful with it because it's very fragile. Oh, that's lovely. All right, next up. So from here, it's the same as I did with the background. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out everything that's really white, bright on the two characters. So we're going to grab that first. How do I want to do this? Like, oh, you know what I'll do? This is easy. I could just move this and then move this. So that way I don't have to keep sliding you guys around. Yes, no hands on him. Just flesh wound. It's merely a flesh wound. All right. What did I do with my knife? Oh, and incidentally too, yesterday, which is one of my favorite days of all days, yesterday was brand new brush day. So I cracked open a new, again, it's my UK episode today. This is a Winsor & Newton Series 7 watercolor brush, but a brand new brush. Man, it's like that new car smell. They work so well. All right, now, where's my knife? I feel like it's right in front of me. Where'd it go? Oh, I'm gonna have to do the... Oh, so it's in the wrong spot. That's why. Okay. So everything that's white, same deal here. If I do the white first, then I don't have to worry about any blue shift. So just going to cut out each one of the shapes that are white, and I'm going to kind of ignore what's going on here. You know, it's easy to try to figure it out, like, oh, what's this part that I'm cutting out, or what's this part? And then sometimes that changes the way that I cut them out. I stop looking at the values, which I really should be, and I start looking at like, oh, you know, that is this part, for instance. You know what I mean? Like if the white, like on his belt right here, if I know what it is, then I'll cut it out more like a belt, you know, instead of just this little triangular white shape. So it's something that I really try hard to do. Try to, at this stage, just kind of ignore what it is, unless I have to know. You know, sometimes you do. Sometimes you need to know what it is to get it in the right way. But for the most part, at this stage, you're really just blocking things in. So now that right there is not part of him. That's a tree in the back, so that's good. What I am going to do, because I know what's going to happen, is I'm going to cut out the highlight on his top of his helmet. Yeah, without a doubt, Simon. That's one of, especially the more complex they get, the more I tend to think about them. And that's, you know, for this stage, it's not good. Later on, you know, definitely, again, because it helps you kind of, you know, figure out what the best way to attack something is. All right, so our friend here has it's really bright on the right-hand side of his helmet, but then it fades to like almost black here. There's no defined shape to cut out, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out all the white and this black here too, like this. I'm going to leave the eye slot because it'll help me line it up later. So I'm going to cut out all of that, and I'll show you why in a second when I get to the paint. And yeah, see the crest of his helmet too has a lot of white on it, so I think I'm just going to cut out that whole thing. Again, that's a perfect example. So I knew this side of his helmet is like basically like a tube, right? And then there's the you know, this ridge, the decoration ridge on the top. So I knew those two parts were separate. However, as far as the white goes, the light highlights, it's all really one piece. So my brain separated it and I cut it out that way, but I really should have just cut out the whole thing. The other piece I'm going to grab is the other part right by his sword and his glove. I want that too. The other thing I can do too, sometimes, this one doesn't really need it, but sometimes if I look at an image and it's not quite, there's not enough brights or whites, I'll then at this point take the next step. Like this part here in his chest is kind of a gray, but if I wanted to push the light color on him, and I'll do it on this one because it's going to work, I'm going to cut out all this stuff too. Now, even though this isn't bright white like the other stuff, I'm going to make it brighter, and that will help kind of pull out some of the shapes. So that's going to connect with this other one now. And again, it's okay that it connects with this one, because originally I didn't know that I was going to be doing this. So now I can pull out, sorry, frog in my throat. Pull out the rest of this, and that's going to work. The front of his face is he's got the chain, the mail on either side. So, I mean, probably his face would have been lit up, but not in this instance. Do you enhance contrast on the image to get high? Yeah, one. That's exactly it. That's exactly what just happened. So, same thing like the boar emblem. Cut that out too. Even though that's not as bright as some of the other things, I want that to show. So by adding a little bit of white to it, it'll really help me be able to do that. And that's the fun thing about working with like just a still from the movie. It's not going to be a good photograph. It's just not. I mean, it might be. I shouldn't say that. Sometimes you get a good still, but a lot of times they're like this. They're just 1/24th of a second, you know, and in the way they film them, it's just not particularly clear. Not like a high-res camera or anything, especially on an older film. So it's fun. You get to kind of fill in the gaps in a way. So, all right. So that's good. Now we're ready to move on. I still have white in the brush, which is stunning. That won't last very long. So, and now it's just a matter of lining it up. So I'll use the side of his head here and the crown over here. And that should get me pretty much right where I need to go. Yeah, that's good. Marge is doing... she's painting these milk cans for a good friend of hers, and they're made of steel. So she's got a template that she needed to use on it. So I've given her all my magnets. So you'll see some of them are as I snap them down here. Some of them are the old school ones. This is one of the older ones, and this is one of the newer ones. So you can see the difference in the screw that I used. And this one I actually just bought the right size screws. This one I cut them down. I had used screws I had. The other difference too is these magnets are same size as these, but they're much stronger. When I bought these, I didn't know that they came in different strengths. So I just bought a bunch of these. But once I figured out what I was doing, I bought that one. So, all right, let's get the white going. Switch the brushes. Now, another good trick for these 543s is to enhance things. I know the light's coming from this direction. You know, the sun's coming through the trees here, and he's obviously lit up on the front. So I'm going to play that up a little bit when I spray this in. So that everything on the right-hand side is really going to be bright. Not super bright, but you know what I mean. So this will just help kind of enhance those two figures. The same thing with the helmet here. So remember, I cut out all the black too. I really only need to get just the right-hand side, but I need to fade that into it. So if I had just the white cut out, I'd get a hard edge on the left-hand side of this fade right here. But by cutting the whole thing out, I'm just not going to spray it all. I'm just going to spray the side I need. And you'll see when I pull it off, you won't even see this left-hand side. All right, the emblem on his shirts or vest, the chest, I'm going to add a little bit of white to that, even though there's really no white there. Now the same thing here. So for his chest and the bottom of his outfit here, I'm going to start. The right-hand side is going to be really bright, and I'm going to fade it as it goes around the corner, and that'll give him, even though it doesn't show it in the photograph, it'll give him kind of that rounded feel. It'll just enhance that. The whole thing's going to be white, but the right-hand side's going to be a lot brighter. And finally, this is a secondary highlight, so I'm not going to hit this as hard, but I do want to get the white in there so that I can have that variation there. Let's see what we got. The nice thing about these templates too, especially at this stage where they're not super, intricate templates. If I do this and say, I don't like it, it's not bright enough, it doesn't take anything to line this up again and just keep going. You know what I mean? If it's, it's super complex and, I got to really fiddle with it to make sure it's in the right spot, then that's a whole different thing. But right off the bat, you guys are at an angle, but right off the bat, you can start to see the forms and everything. It just really kind of works out well. The other thing too is on our buddy down here, make sure it's focused. Is it? I don't know. See how the fade, you can't see the other side of the template? And I use that trick a lot. So I've got the really tight edge on the right-hand side, but then it fades away on the left-hand side. So if I painted the whole thing, it would look like his emblem here where you'd see the outline around the whole thing. But I didn't want to do that. All right, so that's good. Now, next up is the darkest parts of the image. So we'll put this aside again. And I'm burning on this, doing this kind of fast because I really want to kind of show you how I really attack them. Now they go a little bit faster when I'm doing them myself, just because I'm not, you know, stopping to explain stuff, which is, it's totally fine. I love this, but I want to kind of give you the tempo of the way I kind of attack these things. All right, so the next thing is the darkest area. So what I'm doing is I'm picking any area that's black, basically. And if I'm lucky, there's a lot of it, because the more I can block in, the faster this gets done, really. Just popped. Ah, yes, Gary. Yeah, I was really, really happy with that one. And I didn't realize you had the Jeremy Carey thing. That was really cool. I was going to ask you, Gary, have you heard from him recently? He doesn't pop up on my feeds, but that could totally be a Facebook thing. The way they, you know, selectively choose what to show you. But when you sent me the photo of that, I'm like, wow, I haven't seen him in a while. So I'm just curious if he's doing all right. All right, again, anything that's black gets done. Also, Gary, you know, I know our phones are listening to us. However, I didn't know Life was either. So I was at some store. I forget where I was, yesterday or day before. But anyway, you know, it was like a Family Dollar or something, and this big bin of, you know, movies, discounted movies. I think it was Saw 4 was right on the top. I'm like, that's weird. It just popped up again. They don't forget to show the stupid ads. Yes, yeah. Oh, good. Good, Gary. That's what I want to hear. So I'm good. I'm glad. All right. Again, anything that's black. Well, all right. I should rephrase that. Anything that's black that's not a fade. So this area on his helmet is really dark here, and it's considered black right here. But I'm not going to do that. And also this part of middle of his chest, I want to leave that too, because if I cut this out too, and the bottom, then the emblem on his chest falls out. So I'd rather leave that and deal with it. Same thing with his arm holes. I want to leave those too. All right, but anything else that's really dark, that's defined, has an edge to it, gets done. Because what happens is when I get it to the point at the end, I'm just kind of doing those fades just freehand with the airbrush. So they can get as dark as I want them to, but I need to know where to put them, and that's what this stage is doing. It's giving me like all the dark areas, the folds and everything. Yeah, so Gary, I was mentioning to everyone, so I'm going to be doing some traveling again. July's a big, you know, go see the family month. And but I want to keep everything rolling. So what I'm doing is I'm pre-painting 2 weeks worth of 543s. So this is one of them. So this one would be available either. I got to look at the list and which one this comes out in, but it's either going to be the second week of July or the last week of July. That first week of August feed is when this one will be available. But you guys get the sneak preview because got to get them done. And that's what Thursday feed's all about. For me, it's whatever's on the bench that I'm working on. You guys get to hang out with. All right. This is a larger cutout, but still works. Perfect. A cool tip that isn't big enough for Tech Tuesday. So what I'm doing is when I cut out all these little bits and pieces, they were getting everywhere. So what I end up doing now is I take these little medicine cups and I make a teeny weeny little trash bin. And then when I get it filled, I just reach over and dump that out behind me. So it made it a lot more streamlined than having to kind of pick up all the little bits at the bottom of my desk. Or reach back and put every little teeny weeny little piece in the bigger trash bin. Which was annoying because I was doing that too. And then what happens is then I was getting lazy and I was just letting them drop, and then they get stuck in the Visionaire thing, and it's just none of it's good. So the little trash bin was a godsend. That worked out pretty well. So some of these little folds here turn into fades, so I got to remember that when I paint this, but I'll show you what I do for that in a second. All right, where are we at? I can't really get this because it's too much is going to fall out. All right, no, we'll do the super cutout. Show you what happens when I'm feeling saucy. So this little fold right here is really dark and I need to get it, but I don't want it to fall out. So if I cut all this out like that, especially that little piece right in there, that's going to fall out. So what I can do is I can cut a bridge that holds it in place. Now, this I do on a lot of like bigger paintings because I'll be able to I'm taking more time with the cutouts to really get, you know, everything kind of exactly where it needs to be. Again, 543s don't get that same kind of attention. I'm just doing this for you guys to show you. So here's another one. I can cut a bridge on the bottom of this, and I'll flip this over so you can see it when it's done. But by doing that, by leaving those little tabs in, show you what it looks like. I just ripped it, but it's okay. Actually, I can show you how I fix it too then. Hang on. Why is this not coming out? Flip it over and see what I missed. Oh, that's what happened. Okay. When you flip it over, you can see the parts that aren't cut through, which is really nice. All right. So now get out of here. So there are the two little bridges that I left, and they hold this piece in. So say I did this, and now those, I think I cut through both of these. They're both, yeah, neither one is attached. But say they really need to be attached. Again, 543 doesn't need that. But I'll show you how I fix it if I'm doing a template that really needs to be right on the money. So I'll take the FBS tape, again, super thin stuff. And what I do is put it on the cutting mat here, and I'll cut a really thin strip of it, like this. I can grab it with a knife, and then what I can do is I can put that and tape that back together like that. And then I just cut off any excess that might get in the way, you know, that might stick out on the template. Again, you know, I don't do this on 543s. This is what I would do if I'm doing a template that's really complex for a big painting, that I got to make sure everything's exactly the right spot. On a 543, I could have left those cut and it would have been fine. Mr. Barker, what's up, buddy? So there we go. So that's how that looks. I'll leave this to you guys close up so we can finish up, you know, in close. So again, you know, that's really dark. Oop, that's really dark right there. So there's a good way for me to get that without having to recut another template. So I'll cut the back of it like this, but I'm not going to take it out. So what I'll do is I'll paint the dark part, and then I'll lift this up and paint the rest of it, and that'll give me that dark color. So that happens a lot. Here's another good one. I'll just cut out the back side of his arm, or the, you know, shoulder piece, and I'll just fold that back. So now I got that in there too. His head, it's got a lot going on in it. So start with the back. And again, this is where it gets to the point. I got to make quick decisions on this. You know, there's chainmail all over that. There's great texture and everything, but honestly, this has got to be what it's going to be, and it's got to be fast. Because again, it's all about, it's about a win for everyone, you know. I joke about those 543s, you know, when I put gold in them, and trust me, when I do one in color like that lollipop, that blows the time right immediately. You know, as soon as I start putting color into it, they really are no longer 543s. They take a lot longer to do, but again, some of them I just, you guys are a blast, and the suggestions are great, and I can't not, you know, some need color, basically, or gold leaf, or whatever it is. All right, I'm feeling good about this. So I got most of his face. I'm going to grab his nose because you can kind of see where that's going to go. So I'll grab that now. It's not coming out. And that is what we got so far. All right, show you how that works. We'll back you guys up a little bit so you don't need to be in that close. Okay. Now, here, well, am I going to do that? Yeah, no, I'll run it. I was going to say I was going to switch the paint to something a little bit darker, a little bit bolder, like 1 to 5 maybe. But I think I'll just leave it the way it is and see what it does. Because what's going to happen is with the real thin paint, this is really dark colors I'm trying to, or dark values that I'm trying to paint. It's going to take a while with that 1 to 10. So we'll see. I'll get rid of what I have in the brush and then we'll go from there. So this is shading and shadowing, and I know there's a lot on it. So with the magnets, I don't have to cover absolutely everything. Maybe I'll get you a little closer. So I don't have to, hold the entire thing down with magnets because there's going to be a lot of fading going on anyway. So tiny paintings get tiny trash. It's exactly it, Chris. A little tiny. I should get a little teeny weeny trash bin. But, nah. All right. I have the reference photo, which now you guys really can't see because it's off the side. But I'm going to use the reference photo for this too. For instance, like his chest. And it's not lined up, is it? It is not lined up. So we'll take this off and do this again. This really does need to be lined up because if it isn't, it just means, again, means more work later. And I don't want to do that. There we go. General magnets. The other cool thing about this that was unexpected, because this new holder is steel, it's galvanized steel, these magnets hold better to it than they did to the other magnet. So when it was magnet on magnet, it didn't seem to snap in like these do onto the steel. I just think it's the orientation of the magnet sheet that was, I mean, don't get me wrong, they definitely held on, but these hold on a lot tighter, a lot more positively. So I'll move this down here and that one there. Okay. All right, same thing. But this, that's white. You guys got to stop me from doing that. Let's try black. All right. So again, these are, I think of them not as much stencils as a guide on where to paint. So for instance, our friend here who has merely a flesh wound, I'm going to put a magnet down here just because it's annoying. There we go. I can put in the folds in his shirt or whatever in his tunic here. Even though this whole thing is going to be really dark, I can still put texture in it, and it just acts like I said, it acts like a drawing guide. It tells me where these dark values are going to be. So ultimately, yeah, this is going to be pretty dark, but it doesn't have to be just a solid mass. Oh, I'm going to give you guys another helpful tip that's too short for a Tech Tuesday. So I've got all these cool magnets, right? And I got all these cool screws sticking out of them so that I can pick them up, right? If you're working really close with your airbrush, you really, and I'm only telling you this because I do it all the time, you really have to be careful not to smash the airbrush into the screw handles, which I do all the time. So that's the one big, you got to be real careful. Because, these are, oh, that's not going to work. These are, brass or whatever. And they will, trust me, they will bend your needle faster than you know. That's bugging me too. I can't put a magnet there though. I know what I can do though. Did you guys check out this week's Tech Tuesday? From Dwayne Marshall. If you didn't, do it. It was a fantastic trick, as I'm going to do right now. Come on. Oh, I know why it's doing that. There we go. Yeah, I'm going to change to, again, I need to move a little bit faster. So what I'm going to do, I mean, I could do this with the 1 to 10 mix, but it's just going to take longer. I'm going to get the same effect, but it's going to take longer. So I'm going to switch now to 1 to 5. So this is a less reduced paint and will allow me to get coverage a lot faster. Simon, I 100% agree with you. It was not yesterday. Dwayne was on. I tried to find Dwayne's account, but I don't know if it's just the way that the search works for me, but I couldn't actually link his account, which I was bummed. But Dwayne's been airbrushing for a really long time and has a lot of great tips. And he had mentioned it to me last week on Timothy John Luke Smith's feed. And I'm like, that's brilliant. So I tried it, and yeah, lo and behold, I've been doing it wrong all this time. So I got to get the rest of the 1 to 10 out, but once I do, once that sprays out, I'll be able to get this a lot darker, a lot faster. But I can still get some really nice fades in this. It's not like it's uncontrollable. It just develops a lot faster. The ultimate though, so I'm using plastic for those little spikes. The ultimate though is to, and I'll probably end up doing this. I'll get some, I have some 040 aluminum, or steel would be good too. If I got 030 steel, and cut out a bunch of really small shapes out of the steel, because the magnets are going to stick way better to that whole setup, the steel especially. And the steel won't move. You just have to have enough shapes. So maybe have someone laser cut them. Oh, exactly, less efficient. Yeah, so this develops a lot faster. Again, you know, this is, I don't know if this is a scabbard or whatever, it doesn't matter. There's a darker area in the middle of it, and it's surrounded by, you know, medium dark. This is a shadow underneath his hand. So it's the same thing here with the shadow under his hand as I did with the highlight on the helmet. I'm not going to spray that all the way down. I'm just going to put the fade in and leave it where it is. This is part of his, well, this might be the scabbard right here. And then this is definitely part of his belt. Same thing with the belt. The belt is really dark here, but it's really got, you know, some folds in it or something. And then the back side of his glove, same thing. I could probably even get away with 1 to 1, which is really dark. It would move even faster, but you know, I also don't want to. I don't want to push it either, because 1 to 1 tends to be really grainy when you go to do these fades with the Micron. It just can't really process that thicker paint, which then I could switch to the Micron C and use a 1 to 1. But again, now I don't know what I gain by swapping and changing brushes and changing paint. It just slows me down, you know. All right, same thing with the folds here. I don't have to spray them all in. I can just move this template out of the way, or magnet. I can, you know, spray the parts that need to be darker and let it just, the overspray kind of do the work. And that was a huge transition for me when I changed my mindset from a template needs to be sprayed all across the board over the whole thing, and that's it. You know, when I got out of that mindset, and it took me a long time, like I didn't even know I was doing it really. But when I realized that I could use them more like just a drawing guide, it really did change the entire look of what I was doing. Okay, so this is where underneath his arm is. It's a shadow on the fold of his arm. That's his shoulder. The chainmail on the back gets lighter towards the left-hand side, so I'll do that. And the same thing with his face. It actually starts out dark and then gets lighter as it moves towards his face, so I'll do that. That's interesting. I keep losing the chat. so I don't know if you guys are too. Everything seems, the feed seems okay. I don't know why I keep losing that. Okay, I think I got everything. The nice part about this stage 2, when I pull this off, it really starts to come together after I get the really dark stuff in. Oops, I don't want to lose that piece of plastic, but anyway. So it really starts to now it starts to come together. All right, so now that I've got the darkest stuff done, now what I got to do is I got to do the medium stuff, the medium grays. Solid on this end. Okay, good, good, excellent. All right, Gary, have a great one, man. Good to see you. Thanks again, Gary, for that, for the super chat. That was amazing. You're a good human. All right. One cool thing about keeping the background, this kind of foggy, misty, these figures are now, you'll see it when I'm done, these figures will literally pop off the page. It'll be a whole different thing than what's going on in the movie clip. All right, put this aside. We'll cut out the medium grays and we'll be off to the races. Believe it or not, we are rounding the corner on this. Once I get what's going to happen here is I'll do the medium grays with the template, then I'll take the paintbrush, put in all the details, and I'll take the airbrush and kind of freehand it all together, and then this is done. Aside from clearing it, and if we have time, I'll do that with you guys too. What am I doing? Oh, I'm cutting out. That's what I'm doing. Okay, so medium grays. So anything that's like this right here gets kind of cut out. Actually, what I'm going to do first, did I pull that up? I didn't. Remember how I had the, no, I'll just do it. Remember how I had the back side of his arm pre-cut? I never pulled that up to spray it. So what I'm going to do first then is I'm going to cut out his whole arm, because I want to get that, since that's darker than everything else, I want to get that out of here. Smoke from candidates, but down here for a few days. I hope they get the fires under control. Brian, it's been crazy here. It was like a switch. I went out yesterday morning and I thought someone was just burning trash. It felt very local and it smelled really bad, we had it last week too, or the week before, but it didn't, it smelled like someone was burning trash. It was crazy. And then I drove, 35 minutes away and it was still everywhere. So yeah, it was nuts. All right, how do I want to do this? So the rest of his head is like this. Okay, he's got the chainmail on, which is nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out his whole head, and I'm going to put a kind of a tone across the whole thing. So that most of what you're going to see, like his eye and his nose and the chain link or chainmail, is going to be hand painted, which is nice. So I'll pull out his whole head to kind of get that feel. The other thing, so I'm doing all the work on this guy. Our friend down here doesn't have much going on because he's missing all his limbs. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut out his whole helmet here, and I can just paint it. I can almost get this done in one shot. Now again, same thing. I'm going to be doing these darker areas here, but I'm going to cut out the entire helmet because I could try to protect the white that I put in, but if I do that, I'm going to get a line here, and I don't want that. I want it to be nice and smooth. So I'm going to pull that whole thing out. His emblem, probably going to need a little bit of gray on it, but again, I could freehand that at the end. See if there's anything else I'm missing for this round. I don't think so. Yeah, on the next round, I'll do the rest of his chest and the rest of his cloak, or whatever that is. Oop. That's not going to stick on that. So my brother and beautiful sister-in-law live in Ottawa, and her whole family is from Canada. So we just checked in with them, and they're doing okay. It's so bizarre. Looking at it today, if you look at satellite pictures of the smoke, it's clearly different than, obviously you would think it's different than clouds. Like right now, it just seems like it's hazy, but it's still, bright. It's still, it's not like it's yellow but you look at the satellite pictures of the smoke from the fires and it's like this dirty brown. Crazy. All right. Good. All right, good. Same thing as before. So I'll start with this guy here because we got him. Move that up a little bit. There we go. Yeah, still on it. Yeah. So just kind of paint. Now at this point, the stencil just kind of blocks the outside edge for me. I got to kind of figure out what's going on with the middle of it. So one of my favorite debunkers on YouTube is Sir Sick, and it's his avatar is all his videos. He doesn't appear in the videos. It's just a cartoon kind of thing, and it's a Crusader type outfit. So every time I see this, I think of that. He's also from the UK too. So dogs out and like, yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah, that's it, Brian. Exactly. I was like, I really thought someone was like, I mean, like I said, we're in a real rural area and people are always burning, leaves and branches and stuff like that. So that's not uncommon to walk outside and have it be, all smoky everywhere. But, it always smells like leaves or branches or stuff. When I went out, actually in the house first, I thought that something was up. Like I'm like, something's burning. That terrified feeling. So I'm running all over the place. And then I went outside and I'm like, holy crap, it is literally outside. It's everywhere. All right, so while I'm yakking, you see what I did? I did that fade on the black, and now because I had the whole helmet opened up, it all works. I'm gonna see if I can get you guys at a less extreme angle maybe. I may have to do some funky jazz. I may have to get out the other lens to do this. I have fallen in love with that other lens for the close stuff. Really is working out well. There you go. Might be a little bit more on it now. You won't get that weird angle. Actually, can I get you closer? No, it's as close as I can get, yeah. But you get the idea. Okay, same thing with his arm. Just kind of put the folds in first. The darkest areas are first. And then I'll fade the whole thing after. Back of his arm. That fade is pretty lame right there on his shoulder, so I'll fix that. So once I get all the kind of the darker folds in, then I can go over the whole thing and just adjust all the values down. Like the front here, this front wasn't dark enough, which is okay. I guess I always say this, it's always easier to add paint than take it away. So I would much rather err on the side of, having it be too light and having to add a little bit of paint to it than to have it the other way. Like if I go too dark, it's a whole other repair. All right, so for his helmet, it's the same thing here. Just kind of draw in what's going on there. I got to get everything I can get with the airbrush. There's definitely going to be stuff with paintbrush that I got to do here, but I'm not stressing over it. I'm just kind of getting everything that's soft enough for the airbrush to do. Now that being said, if I switch back to the 1 to 10, I can almost get paintbrush stuff done with this. I mean, you guys saw that, the cue ball. This brush will do that, but it's also a lot more challenging, and again, it's not worth it. It's not worth spending the time on it unless, again, it's a challenge or, I mean, it's good if you're trying to really work out your freehand skills, to challenge yourself like that, but from a practical standpoint, it's just not worth it. And get that all over his face. Good. So that's everything. Good. Now go before I taunt you a second time. Good. That's going to need a little bit of adjusting, but I'm okay with that. The rest of the chainmail, what am I going to do with that? All right. Yeah, so I'll do the rest of his cloak here, and I'll do the chainmail with the same one. There should be, oh, and right, the rest of our friend here. So the rest of our buddy here. Oh, I went too far. That's all right. All I wanted was this. Excellent. And what else? Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this whole thing. Again, I don't have to worry about what I've already painted, so I can cut it all out like this. So instead of taking the time to cut out like exactly this back shape here and the little, areas or whatever, I could just cut it all out because the other stuff is darker and I can add a little bit of paint to it. So again, saves a little bit of time. All right, and the final thing, yeah, the chainmail. I want to put a fade on this. Actually, all right, let me show you the dual cutout thing. So I'm going to take out this piece here because this needs to be darker, but that chainmail across his face needs to be dark too, but I'll do that separately. All right. I don't know why I keep losing. Yeah, that's weird. Oh, you know what it is? My tablet. All right. I keep losing the comments on my tablet. I don't know why. And it looks like it's seizing up, but it's not happening on the computer next to me. So, all right, good. All right, so we'll line all this up. That looks good. Enough. And again, same thing, just not as much paint this time. Except on this guy. This guy, this is a lot darker right here. But this stuff here, like, there's not much going on his backside, so that's easy. It's just gray. And the shadow continues on down below his hand, so pull that out a little bit more. Front of his glove is just light gray, so I'll just add that. And then same thing on his top of his glove here. Now chainmail here. So the top of his chest is darker, so I'll put that in first. But then I've pre-cut the chainmail part, and all I've left is the very end of it. So all I do is nip the end of it, and this will come right out. So now I can put the rest of the chainmail in without having to cut a separate template for all that. You just use the same one. And that should give me all the gray and all the black and all the light. Let me try refreshing this, because maybe that's what it's doing. Yeah, there you are. Okay, I don't know what's going on with my tablet. Anyway, but there you go. So now you can really see it. Now everything's kind of like, oh, I forgot his arm stump. That's all right. I'll throw that in. So with the arm stump, I could cut out another template for that, or I could just use the very first one that I cut out, because that's got his arm the way it should be. So all I need to do is really protect the background like that. So I can use the same template. So I do this a lot too. I'll try to keep an eye on the other templates so that if I can reuse them along the way, I don't have to cut out any new ones. And that's it. Again, it's all about the challenge, and the fun challenge for me was to really get these so that I could get them to look decent, but didn't spend 20 hours on them. There we go. One arm stump done. I'm gonna save the emblem. I'll gray that out when I do all the freehand airbrushing at the end. Okay, that's good. So I'll get rid of all these. Not get rid of them, but put aside all the templates because I don't need those anymore. What else we got? What else we got? All right, Simon, thanks very much for jumping in, man. You're the best. Thank you. Ah, good. And thank you, Simon. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, 4th of July is probably not a great, you know, UK, US type thing. I appreciate it, though. All right. And I don't know what that is down there. I'll fix that when I airbrush. All right. Can I? Yeah, I can. Wrong one. Give me a second. You don't want to see that. There we go. You want to see that. All right. So we get the palette. Oh, I almost dumped all the plastic everywhere because I put that on there. It shouldn't have happened. All right. So now I do the paintbrush stuff. A little bit of airbrushing. This guy's in the bag. I'm grab my icky cotton glove. Franz, thanks. Yeah, see, it's one of those things that, you know, you kind of take a chance with it, and you know, you kind of, I don't know. It's again, the priority was to save the time, but the outcome still looks okay. Yes, it's new brush day. I love, love, love new brush day. All right, so we're going to start with is the black. It doesn't matter. I can start with the bright white highlights or the black. Sometimes I don't. There is no right or wrong there. It just, I don't know. It depends on what I'm feeling. So I think I see more, you know, black details in this. So we're going to start with that. So again, the paintbrush just puts in everything that's a little bit more difficult for the airbrush to get in. Like there are cool detail lines on his mask. And of course, you know, any of the details around his flesh wound. And then the finish up his emblem, the boar emblem here. I'm gonna have to go watch this movie now. Someone had, oh man, there's so many good suggestions that we get on Monday nights. Just a blast. And I can't do them all. I literally just don't have the time to do them all. I'd love to. But, you know, sometimes I get a chance like this where I get to go back and look through some of them. This one especially because I didn't really get to do any of these. So I'm glad it worked out the way it did. That was a rough trip back. I mean, everything worked out great, but you know, it's pretty weird. All right, so there's that. Anything else? Any other quick DK? All right, so his fingers. Same. What I want to do with his fingers, there's a lot of shading on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, again, it's kind of like the same deal as before. I'm doing the darkest areas or the splits between his fingers. I'll airbrush all over that after. All I want to do is get the parts that the airbrush doesn't really want to do. Bill, what's up, buddy? Bill, I missed you Tuesday night. I was telling everyone I've been like cranking. I've been working like crazy, trying to get some stuff done, and so I missed your feed, but I will jump back on and catch it again. So again, it's a matter of just kind of running around this thing, and anywhere that you know the airbrush couldn't pull off, we'll just use the paintbrush for that. There we go. Excellent. Shading on that. That's good. This comes down. I don't know what's going on there. Oh, more shading. I get it. Okay, so for the chainmail here, so it's really just a series of, it's a pattern, you have lines, you know, dotted lines. So again, This is so much, like, this would be tough to do with the airbrush. And you could, but in the end, especially on this, like, what's the point? I mean, unless you want to, you're getting mileage out of telling people that, you're doing it a certain way. Okay, that's good. Oh, that's all dark back there. Interesting. I missed that. Which is the other thing that happens. I see all the things that I missed when I was kind of setting it up that I could have put in, but it's all right because we'll get them on the next time. That's good. So before, there aren't too many bright white highlights, so I'm just going to start airbrushing. I may switch to the 1 to 10. Yeah, let me do that. We won't have any surprises. Tis but a scratch. Lee Jordan, what's up? Excellent. Wait a minute, Lee, this might be your suggestion. Hold on. Do I have this? Yeah, I think I have the list. Hold on. Oh, I think I have the list. I do have the list. Hold on. There's so many good ones in here. Where is it? That one. That one. That one. Jeff Simon. Jeff Simon asked for this one. Such a good suggestion. Yeah, Leah, I could have sworn. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So yeah, so Leah, Jeff asked for this one a while ago. All right, and did I put paint in here? I didn't. Generally, a good part of painting is having paint in your brush. There we go. All right. This is, again, it's 1 to 10, so it's really, really thin. But for this type of stuff, where I'm going to be getting in tight, this works really, really well. So again, I'm just going to start, and I'm going to repeat the process. I'm just going to kind of fill in the gaps that need to be filled in, and correct anything that need to be corrected. And also, like in the fingers, you should put the white on that. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to just finish this section right here, and I'm going to drop the white in real quick. Because if there's any white that needs to go in again, it makes more sense to get it in before the black here, because you won't get any of that blue shift by doing that. There's only one real spot that happens in, so we'll leave that there. The only real highlight is on his gauntlets here, on his gloves. So the tops of his knuckles have little highlights. And actually, yeah, probably on his gloves too. Like that. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. 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 Why not? All right. So when I get there, now I don't have to worry about it. Yeah. Paint is a bonus. All right, so for his emblem, remember I painted that white, but it's too bright. But it's okay, because I wanted it bright. I wanted it to show up. But now I can go back in over it, and I can shade it back and just push it around. Where if I did this shading, and then say I wanted that side of the emblem to pop out more, and I wanted to spray that with white, when I got to this side here where it was already shaded, it would turn blue. It would be like this weird bluish color. But right now, all of the lights are continuous. All the whites look all the same. And that's the goal there. Yeah, let me do that real quick with the brush. And I do this a lot too. Like I'll see stuff that, I should have done that with the brush, paintbrush. So I'll just like dual wield them. I'll just throw the airbrush in my left hand. I can't airbrush with my left hand, by the way, so that's not where this is going. But I'll just grab the paintbrush and put in, whatever things that I missed. And I do this all the time. Because, you can't get everything. All right, let that dry a little bit and finish up any of the bumping around here. So, the helmet and this chest piece were two separate templates. So what I can do now with the airbrush, and this is really what it does well, is I can kind of connect them together. You know, just add that shadow underneath his helmet and pull the highlights in maybe, or dark shadows in a little bit darker. Same thing with these details that I threw on his helmet. If I want to add a few airbrush versions of it, that'll help smooth it out and kind of make it all pull together. You know, at the end, it doesn't necessarily look like I used one tool or another. All right, so I think our armless friend is ready. Because we are the knights who say, Wayne, what's up? What's going on, Wayne? All right, backside of his glove here. I'm not in your way, right? Okay. So there is some blue shift on this highlight right here. It's tough for you guys to see it because of the white balance on this camera. But if there is something like that, in that instance, what I can do is, it'll only happen, the white shift will mainly happen on the glowing part of it, the thin part of that white. So what I can do is with the black, I can go in around that and cancel that back out again. His fingers have this great shadow on them, on each one, which wouldn't be done well with the paintbrush, but does really well with the airbrush. So drop his fingers in. And again, I can't stress it enough, you know, it's the whole idea is to get as much information as you can to the point where it looks like what it's supposed to look like, and then stop. You know, I mean, I could nitpick this thing to the absolute end and have it, I put a big fingerprint on there too, that's a bummer. I could nitpick this thing like crazy and get it like perfect, but again, when working with the budget, time budget, I mean, it doesn't work. You know, I gotta like really boil it down and figure what information I can get in there and what I can leave out. Trust me, I look at all these every single time. When I put them all up, I'm like, oh, I could do so much more with that one, or you know, this one needs that, or whatever. It's endless. But again, it's part of what these things are. You know, they're designed to be quick. I make myself feel better by, I call them now these paint sketches. They're like, it's a sketch with paint. It's not, you know, a crazy finished 40-hour painting or whatever. It's just a sketch. And that makes me feel a little bit better about it. Yeah, it's just your close up to it, Wayne. But yeah, it's believe it or not, it's only 3x4. Plus, again, you know, these are the actual paper is 4 inches by 5 inches. So before they get matted, you know, like when you guys get them, when you order them and you get them, they come in a 5x7 mat. So you don't see, you would see 1/8 of an inch less than what you see all the way around the edge here when you get them. I mean, if you take them apart, you know, if you open them up and take them apart, you can, you know, see the whole thing. But again, these little, you know, folds in his shirt, the stencil puts it in real tight, but I can go in and just kind of fade it out a little bit and roll it over. This whole side of his area, remember I added white where there wasn't? So this is a lot brighter than it shows in the photograph, but it allows me to kind of have a little bit more fun with it, because now there's this nice bright edge on the right hand side, and I can just kind of fade all this other stuff into it, or leave it, you know, leave it so it's bright. But I'm feeling good. Feeling good. All right, his shoulder, and then his shoulder moves into all this chainmail. So the same thing here, you know, that again, that paintbrush put in that little chainmail texture really well, but I can spread that out and add more of it with the airbrush. The airbrush doesn't do it as fine, but I don't want it to. I want it to kind of blend it all together. You guys, yeah, I want to make sure you guys can see that the airbrush isn't in the way. So the backside of his shoulder here, I missed. I didn't get that in. So instead of airbrushing that freehand, I'm going to grab the template here in a second. Once I get the other stuff kind of in place here. Be the last step is to do that the back of his shoulder, because that's actually really quick with the template, so I don't have to stress too much about that. So his shoulder is going to be just like the other dude with his arm stump. I'm just going to grab the original stencil here because that has his shoulder on the back here. So line that up and just spray it in. I'm even going Sans Magnet. I'm just going for it. I'm feeling I need to darken that up a little bit more. Actually, I know what I really need to do. Define where his face is a little bit more. Better. Better, better, better. Okay. Thanks, Juan. Shading out that part where his face is. Good. Good. And that's it. So here's the other big thing. Now the other big thing, same thing. It's like, man, I should do this, and then I should do this, and I should make those trees darker, and I should add highlights to those, and I should put more leaves in, and that's when I say, Steve, knock it off. So you got to stop. So this is the point that I would say, okay, we'll sign it, and we'll send it on its way. But before we sign it, I'm going to put the first round of clear on it so you guys can see how that works. And I'll do it over here. I won't do it in the spray booth, so you guys will get a feel for it. So what I do when I go to clear it now, first I got to let that dry a little bit because the ink is great, but it takes a minute to dry. If I touch it, I'll smear it. And some of you have 543s where the signature is smeared because I was impatient and didn't wait. So if you have one of those, it's like getting a misprinted stamp or a double dyed coin or something like that. So while that's drying, I can do this. So I put the cotton glove on it so I don't get my greasy fingerprints on it. Pull that out, and I can pull the tape. And this is that border I was telling you about. So there's a 1/2 inch border around all of these, just to make it easier for me to put the mat on it. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray this right here. Like I said, usually I have a spray booth for this, but I'll do it with you guys here. I'll do the first coat anyway, so you guys will see it for real. All right, so for clearing these things, if you've gotten a 543, it's got a really neat finish on it. What that is do I have the container? I do. Well, this is a small one, but it's the UVLS satin is what I use on everything. I use it on all the paintings, the big paintings. I use it on the 543s. It is just the wonder clear. I really like it a lot. And for this, I don't screw around with the reductions. So this one, I wanted to have exactly what they recommend. So I just reduced the UVLS by 10% with 4011. And I use for the 543s, I use the tritium, which has a 0.7 millimeter needle and nozzle in it, which is a little bit small for this, but it does the job. Like if I was like for the big painting, for the 16 by 20 painting, I used a regular spray gun for that. I use an LPH 50 or 80 for that. So that gets regular, regular clear. Make sure this is working for me. It is not. Give me 2 seconds here. There we go. Okay. So light even coats. The 543s generally have 2, sometimes 3 coats depending, but 2 usually does it. So you just kind of give it a nice even coat till you just kind of start to see it. That's coat number 1. So I'm not going to keep you guys here, but I would wait 10 to 15 minutes on this, and then it's ready for the second coat. Right now it's very glossy. Give me 1 second. Here we go. So this is, if I tilt this is what it looks like once it's dry. See how smooth that is? So now again, this is 2 coats. I could put 2 more on it, and you can kind of see like right where the lettering is on the bag of the bagpipe. You can kind of see it raised a little bit. If I put 2 more coats on that, that would almost be invisible. So you can build it up. It does build up a little bit, but for these, I don't do that. Again, more of a time thing, and it's also, you know, it just kind of, I don't know. I kind of like the look, being able to see the paintbrush work and everything. So yeah. Oh, I think I know what that is. I think I know what's going on with my tablet. All right. The tablet is the only component here of the whole setup that's hooked up to our Wi-Fi. We're hardwired in for the video. That's why the video's not having a problem, but my tablet's going nuts. For some reason, I keep dropping signal. So there we go. All right, so yeah, 10 to 15 minutes on that, and then I put another coat on that, and it is ready. But that is how 543 works. So there you go. You got to see the whole thing again. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to move things around here, get us back to back from Narnia. You guys are gonna get all the lights and everything away. There we go. So there we go. So thank you. I know Gary had to bug out, but Gary, if you rewatch the end of it, thank you so much for that super chat. That's amazing. Again, I'm working on trying to figure out the dashboard. I'm having a hard time finding a list of people who have given thanks for videos. Which is what if you look at the bottom of any of the videos, there's a little heart with a little dollar sign in it. So if you watch a video and you liked it or got something out of it and you want to support the channel, you can click that and just throw a tip at the channel, which is awesome. Again, it really helps out, and I deeply appreciate it. So I will find a way. The other thing for those who have made it to the end, thank you very much. I've been milling over some kind of membership thing. YouTube has a membership program. And of course, a lot of people use Patreon. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to wait to do that until I had a real solid kind of idea of how I could make that worth it to the people who decide to show support that way as well. So I'm zoning in on that. Again, I'm not sure if it's going to be on YouTube or Patreon. It'll probably be Patreon. And if you're not familiar with Patreon, you basically get a subscription. You would have a subscription per month, and then it allows you to have different content. So I have a special idea for that whole content thing that I just need to work out. So as things grow and connection to me gets harder for me to keep up, I want to make sure that I really have a place where it's very focused. If you guys need something from me, I want to be able to give that back. So that's what I'm thinking. That's what we're working towards. But that's end of the year stuff, I think. So anyway, if you have any suggestions for the channel, if you'd like to see something new, please let me know. You can leave it in these comments or send me a message on any of the socials, and I will get that. And yeah, that's what I got. So happy Thursday. Thanks for making me drink with you. That was fun. And if you guys have any questions or whatever and I missed them, just let me know. And that's what I got. So happy Thursday. Be safe. Be nice to one another. And that's what I got. So I'll catch you guys all on the next one. Thanks a lot.